Hello and welcome to The Olive Tree with me, Julia Fisher, the programme that brings you the story of what God is doing in Israel and the wider Middle East today through the believers who live there. My guest today is Claude Ezagouri. He's the pastor of a congregation in Tiberias, which is on the shores of the Sea of Galilee in northern Israel. Claude has lived in Israel for many years now and has first-hand experience of the challenges that Israel faces both internally and externally. So, Claude, you were describing in the last program about how your congregation has grown, about how you bought a building, but took 9 years before you could actually move into it. You've had a lot of opposition, a lot of challenge, but you've made it. You're there. And now your congregation has a home. Do you still have a lot of Russian people coming in, Russian immigrants to Tiberias?
Yes, although it's a mixed bag. We have also Israelis and English speaking, but let's say that still predominantly it's Russian speaking. Yeah.
And you're saying that unemployment has been quite an issue because Tiberias being a tourist city, there haven't been the jobs the last couple of years with the pandemic. So you've lost people as well. You've had a hard time, haven't you? So where are you at the moment?
Okay, now I would say that it's going much better. Um, Actually, during these 2 years, the meetings have gone on. We didn't close the fellowship. Uh, I can say that most of our people attended the meetings. We had just recently a wave of sickness. People got sick, but otherwise, people were very faithful. They attended, and we had new people come in. Uh, Well, I would say one of the reasons was because they saw that we were meeting freely, and they were just thirsty of meeting with believers, and so they came to attend our meetings, and new faces, Also, I think that the what within our vision, the one of the main points is to make a place for the Lord, and we put a big emphasis on worship and what we would call vertical worship, which means that we do not worship for the audience, but we worship vertically to the Lord. We address God in worship, and I would say that the Lord gave us a way to worship that is I would say special, and it people who come for the first time to our services, I mean most of the time, uh, say how they are blessed by the worship time. They really feel the presence of the Lord, and this is one of the purposes. The purposes is for the Lord to be to feel this is the place where he wants to be, a place where people give him the glory, and so people are attracted by this, because they want to be in a place where it's not where worship is not considered just as another ingredient, in the soup. It's not just okay, we'll sing 4 songs and we'll get away with it. No, it's really taken as again vertical worship to the Lord, for the Lord to be in our midst. So,
And are you still experiencing high levels of persecution and are you still having a hard time?
no, persecution was more when we were at the Church of Scotland. because first of all, it was possible to have access to it. It was on the street, on a pedestrian street, and also because it's a Christian place. But now we have our own place, and we say, look, this is not a church; it's a Messianic fellowships. Also, it's not, people cannot just come in. We have an interphone and camera and so on. But also, our neighbors there in the streets learn to know who we are, and they really like us. We have very good relations to our neighbors, and I'm sure that if in the future Orthodox people would come to demonstrate or to attack us, I'm sure that the neighbors would oppose them because they know us, and they would tell them, go away. We don't want you here. So I think that again, part of our vision was to evangelize through our behavior more than just words, because you can evangelize with words. You learned your lesson very well, and you repeat it like a parrot. But it's people in Israel. People want to know who you really are, if you really believe what you believe. Once I remember I evangelized to somebody, and he said, "Do you really believe what you tell me?" And I said, "Yes, of course." And he said, "If I slap you on this side, what would you do?" And that was a tough question, and it brings us to the nitty gritty of an Israeli who said, "Okay, you believe in a faith that is hard to believe in for me. So I want to know if you live your faith, really, who you really are, which means your behavior. Do you really behave like Jesus?" And so it makes you think all the time. I'm a representative of the kingdom here, and I cannot get angry driving, for instance. I have to behave at the post office. At the post office, I need to know that uh, I'm his child, and this is his city, and so. And I think that people see who we are, and by the grace of God, And so, but no, persecution stopped a long time ago.
You are living in the north of Israel as well, Claude. So Tiberias is in northern Israel. You have, if we now look at the external challenges that Israel faces, you've described the internal challenges that you have. But there you are in northern Israel, Syria just above you, Lebanon, and then of course beyond that, Iran. How how are you as an Israeli finding living in Israel at the moment? What is the mood of the country?
Well, I tell you, our main concern would be uh, an eventual attack from the north, from Hezbollah, and because we experienced it in 2006. And by the way, the Lord was really gracious to us, because when the war started in 2006, he told me specifically, take your intercessors and go to the mountain that is overlooking Tiberias, and I want you to pray every evening there. And so every evening, despite the rockets, we prayed there, and for the whole month, and 250 rockets fell on Tiberias and the surroundings, but no casualty. No one was hurt. So the Lord is faithful to prayers concerning the situation in the north. Now today in Israel, well, I think that now, according to what I hear on on the news, people start to understand. They start to understand this matter with Corona, because it affected everyone in Israel. Not the disease, but the situation around the disease. And it was also, it's been a problem in the body of Messiah also. But people see today that it doesn't matter if they got vaccinated or not, they get sick. And so we hear more and more people saying, I got vaccinated 3 times, and I got sick, so I'm not ready to take the fourth one, and I'm not ready to vaccinate my children. And so this is there is a turn, a shift in the mindset of people who feel, okay, well, if we have to be sick, then we'll be sick. We'll go over it, and we'll finish with it, and we'll continue with our lives, because people are really concerned with businesses. Businesses were closed, bankruptcies of all kinds of things, culture, that has to be, that pertain to culture, or restaurants and things like that. So people want to work, and especially when tourism is non-existent. All these tour guides, bus drivers, shops. Just think of it. It's a whole industry. We used to have 4 million tourists a year, and nothing. It came to zero. So people want really to resume normal life.
So is there more talk about the economy than there is, say, about the threat from Iran at the moment?
Well, actually, there is more talk about the economy. Yes. Although the threat from Iran is real, and it gets more real, I would say, day by day. But people are not are really more worried about the economy. Yes. And Iran, it's in the Lord's hands. People tend to believe that at some point an agreement will be reached, and the can will be kicked down the road for another few years.
Claude, it's been so good to talk to you and hear your story, hear about your congregation, and to share some of the challenges that you're facing in Israel today. Thank you very much for joining us on the program, Claude.
Thank you. It was a blessing.
The Olive Tree Reconciliation Fund is a Christian charity based in the UK that supports the needs of both Jewish believers and Arab or Palestinian Christians living in Israel and the wider Middle East. If you'd like to know more about our work and receive our free bi-monthly newsletter, please visit our website, olivetreefund.org. Meanwhile, join me at the same time next week for another story from the Olive Tree. Until then, goodbye.